This is the game console D-007. Whoops. Now this device is a clone of the Powkiddy RGB20S. Now if I can get it out of the packaging, I'll show you. So what comes in the box? You've got your USB-C cable, put that back in the box, and we've got an instruction manual which is in both Chinese and English. So let's have a look around the device. So you have a nice big 3.5-inch display. To the left, you've got your power button and reset button. On the top, there's nothing. On the right hand side, you've got your memory card slot and your volume buttons. On the bottom, you've got your DC input, your headphone jack and your OTG. On the back, you've got this nice little grip, which is, it's okay, it's a little slippery, but it's not too grippy where it's going to collect all the dust. You have your R1, your R2, your L1, your R2 on the back. You've got the rear speaker. So you've got your D-pad. It feels quite sharp, and I don't know if it would be good. I don't think I would like it for fighting games like Street Fighter, but you know, your standard 2D platform games, it should be okay. Got your Y, your X, your B, your A, select button, start button, and your escape button. On the bottom, you've got these two analog sticks, and you have your L3 and you have your R3 there, so they're both clicky. Now let's power up the device and have a look. This is another feature I want to show you. So it says D-007 open source console. Has 1 gig of RAM and 8 gigs of memory. It's running the RK332 processor, running at 1.5 gigahertz, I believe, and it has the Mali G31 GPU. Screen resolution is 640 by 480 pixels. It runs an open source Linux system. It supports memory cards of up to 128 gigabytes. It has the dual 3D stereo rocker, which I'm not sure what that is exactly. We'll look at that later. And it's got a 2-amp charging. So it's got a unique 4-button design on the back. Really unique. Okay, it's a little bit different. This one's a bit closer to it. So it doesn't really give us much more information about this dual 3D stereo rocker. And I'm just wondering whether that's a fancy name to say the volume buttons. So we can select our games. We can jump through page by page with our L1 and R2. Let's have a look at what consoles we have on there. So we have MAME, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, PSP, PlayStation 1, Sega Mega Drive, Nintendo 64, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advanced, and that's it. The console in itself feels pretty well built. It does have some sound to the buttons when you shake it. However, there's one nice little feature that I do want to show you guys. Now, if we move the joysticks, they light up. Which, you know, it's a nice, unique little feature. But whether that will put you off, I don't know. Or maybe, if you get drift, you'll be able to see that it's drifting if you're not touching it. So there could be a benefit of that. So let's do some game test. Got Metal Gear Solid. I mean, it's a really loud speaker, I'll give it that. But it's not very clear at full volume. And the screen is nice and bright. I'm really keen to see what the performance is like on this. At this point, I didn't realise there was an issue with the camera, being as I was in a confined space and I just thought it was the camera angle playing up and not the fact that there is a major issue which I'm going to get onto later. So performance is okay so far. Guys, ready for the peel? That failed. Okay, let's try a different game. And I noticed something when I was testing this earlier, that the camera and the controls are set to the same stick, so you end up looking down and walking forward, or looking up and walking forward, which makes it impossible to play.
What's this? It's a pager, tough guy. Welcome to the 80s, Vic.
I don't get why they've got the device upside down here in the manual. Yeah, so this manual doesn't make any sense at all. So we're going to have to translate that later. Look, perfect example. So you can see I've got the gun selected. If I push left, changes to the fist. Gun, fist, gun, fist, gun. If I use a joystick, it's okay. So there's issues with this, and if I go joystick key, I can't map the D-pad. So even though it runs PSP, this game has been rendered to the point where I don't really want to play it because, you know, left and right changes weapons. Okay. So I have to use a joystick. Alright, you know, okay. So yeah, I'm not too keen on PSP. So let's go out of this. Let's try something like the N64. Ooh, Wave Race. Let's try Wave Race. That should be pretty fairly straightforward to do. Okay, it's a bit jittery. Okay. There's the dolphin. There's a jump set. Actually, I know what to do. Let's see if Mario 64 is on this. Oh, Blast Corps. Blast Corps. I was thinking about this the other day. They've got Blast Corps on this device. But as you can see, as soon as we start, and it's crashed on the intro screen. So it doesn't like Blast Corps, but they've got it on there. 1997. How many of you were born before 97? It's already laggy and we're not even playing. Okay, let's accelerate, let's slow down. So they were the C buttons.
We're entering Corneria City now. Everybody stay alert.
Right about now, it's time to rock with the biggity bump. Bump to the bump to the bump to the bass. Bump to the bump to the bump. Bump to the bump to the bump
But Bumble.
Bump to the bass, bump to the boom to the bum bum.
Garage. You know it was hard in the late 90s. So here, I'm still trying to work out the buttons. I haven't fully understood what the button mapping is here, and I never did. I never got that far where I spent the time to do it because it just didn't make any sense at all. And I started to get really frustrated at this point. But you see, the way that I would really know the buttons, okay. Killing Instinct. Should be able to work out most of the buttons with that. 94, 95, 96. Nintendo Rare presents Killer Instinct. Okay. It's not displaying Killer Instinct very well. Yeah, Orchid. Oh, she's ugly, man. I used to think she was buff. Okay, D-pad doesn't work in this game, does it? I can't seem to pull off any of the moves. Okay, quick punch, quick kick. Medium kick, fierce punch. Medium punch, fierce kick. Now the button mapping just doesn't make any sense. Why are you going to have medium kick here, quick punch there, medium punch there? N64, no go. Actually, let's try button mapping. It's at this point that I kind of really realised how messed up the button mapping is, and I did try to correct it, but the settings that I put didn't quite fix it that well. Okay, so that is it. They've mapped A with A, B with B, even though it was... I don't even want to go on. Super Nintendo. Super Street Fighter 2. This one should be easy for us to work out what the controls are, if it even works right. Okay, so on Super Nintendo the button mapping is a little bit better. Okay, light, medium, hard, light, medium, hard. So Super Nintendo but mapping's quite okay. Double KO. Oops. Oof. It's a little laggy still. Can't really pull off fast moves or fast combos with this. Let's do a little bit of Final Fight 2. The graphics actually look pretty good on this. I don't remember Super Nintendo being this good graphics. It looks smooth. So I don't know if there's some sort of high res or enhancements running in the background. Okay, let's try Killer Instinct on the Super Nintendo this time. Orchid. Glacius. It's a bit hard to pull off the combos. They put Lion King on this. It starts. It ends. Too easy. I absolutely don't remember this game being like this. Getting the graphics on this looks like it's cell shaded, so it looks like it's been upgraded. The mapping doesn't really work well. So you've got 1, 2, Y, X and R as your 3 buttons. Performance seems good on the Mega Drive. Okay, let's try PlayStation. First game up is Tekken 3. Backhander. So it handles PlayStation pretty well actually. Or Tekken at least. So, look, here's a appeal for you guys. We didn't get it earlier, but it wants to stick back onto it. So now we can see a nice, beautiful 3.5-inch screen. Now what I want to do now is just compare this device in terms of size with the RG351V. So as you can see, they are pretty much same size vertically. The D-007 is thicker, has got a thicker grip, where this one's pretty much flat. This is actually a bit more ergonomic, so that's a plus for this. And I would say the triggers are also better on this in terms of actually I don't know. I'm not too sure really, but here you can use both triggers with one finger. With the Amberneck RG351, you can use both triggers with the same finger and easily identify where, not necessarily identify, but you can easily press. There seems to be quite a big distance there, so if you just want to rock your finger between them, you can feel it. But I think I'm just playing devil's advocate there. Now for the last few weeks I've been testing this device. So having watched a few other videos about this device, I've noticed that I wasn't the only one that had issues with removing the screen protector. Now there's a few things that I've noticed with this device, and the biggest issue I had was the button mapping. On some games, the mapping feels like there's joint buttons. And what I mean by that is you have your camera button aligned with your move button. So let's say you're playing GoldenEye, you push forward to move forward, and then the camera looks down while you're moving forward, making it impossible to aim, rendering the game unplayable. Now I noticed similar issues with GTA, Vice City I think it was, for the PlayStation. However, if you're playing Super Nintendo, the controls seem pretty good. Mega Drive, it's a little bit funny. You've got YX as 2 of the buttons and the shoulder button as your 3rd. PSP was horrendous. So apparently the person who's commissioned this, they've got some developers to create the software, which is supposed to be open source, and they didn't do it open source, and they kept the source closed. So at the moment, this is looking to be quite an interesting device in terms of for collectors. Rocker. Yeah, so some of the translations are not that great, really. So in terms of evaluating this device, personally, I really hate to say it, personally I wouldn't buy this device unless you're a collector and you wanted to have it for your collection. I mean, if you just want to play Super Nintendo games, Nintendo, they should be fine. Some MAME games, Master System, Mega Drive, yeah, maybe. But in terms of actual performance, this device has left me wanting more. I find it quite comfortable to use. If the analog sticks were a little bit higher, it would make for a slightly more comfortable session. But in terms of, and I do like the improved graphics. However, I would like some control of that. So if you've got a game that's lagging, it would be nice to be able to turn that down. So there you have it, guys. If you want to get this console, don't. Go for the Powkiddy or one of these. If you want something else, you can always go for the 351 or the 353 Vs from Amberneck. There, Amberneck are probably among my favourite handheld manufacturers at the moment. So on that note, guys, I apologise. This device should be avoided. Avoid. On the front, you've got your D-pad. It's like they know I started filming and they start making noise on purpose.